easy. And these are just some of the many issues I have had with the commentary community over the course of the past year. And it's the reason for the past year that I have been distancing myself from this community. You made a mountain out of a fucking grain of sand during this.
What is up, girlfriends? Today's video, we're going to talk about the whole tipster schism that's happening in the commentary community. If you follow this whole space, I think you kind of know what I'm going to be referring to. It's going to be that whole discussion that Augie had with Tipster. It's one of the gayest goddamn things I've ever seen in my life. But anyways, I think there's more to be said about this whole thing. I'm not going to be too armchair psychologist in this video. I'm going to try not to, but I sometimes I can't help it because there's more to be said about the personalities that encompass the whole commentary space. So if you don't know, let me catch you up. Tipster, he's a commentary dude, kind of does similar things to what I'm doing right now, except he's a lot more, principled in his presentation. He actually shows screenshots and plays videos and stuff like that. I am just too fucking goddamn lazy to do that half the time. So similar kind of thing, commentates on internet drama, internet happenings, and sometimes he could be a little vulgar, sometimes he could do a little dunks here and there. He likes to dunk on people sometimes. And the other people involved is Augie, Nick Diorio, and Turkey Tom. They all do very similar types of content. All do very, very similar types of content. And they all used to be like this sort of in-group of influence. I'm specifically leaving out Boblax because I think Boblax is a more chill kind of fucking person. When I'm going to talk about the commentary community, I'm not going to be referring to people like Boblax because while Boblax is a part of that circle, he doesn't really engage in the types of behaviors we're going to be talking about. And recently, Tipster decided that, over the course of the past few years, he's noticed that him engaging with a commentary community, him being involved in that circle of influence, has really done a toll on his mental health in a sort of way where it's like, it doesn't make him feel good to be, vulgar. It doesn't make him feel good to be associated necessarily with these. Well, he didn't really say associated with these kinds of people, but he says being active in this space and around these other people, it doesn't serve him well, right? And he compares himself to this other commentator person named Jalen, where Jalen experienced a very similar thing where it's like the space wasn't serving their mental health whatsoever. And they sort of left that side. They sort of left that side of the community. And people were dogging on Jalen. People were dogging on Jalen for pretty much the same fucking thing. It's like, oh, you're leaving? Oh, you're leaving? Okay, well, we'll dunk on you on your way out, you fucking stupid bitch. All this kind of fucking shit. Super fucking cringe. It's honestly, it's just, oh my God, man. It's like sometimes I think, I could be a little childish sometimes. I could be a little fucking, a little goober sometimes. But these people, they're literally like little teenagers trapped in a grown person's body. It's actually kind of crazy. I'll get into that though. And essentially Tipster was saying, I don't want to engage in this community anymore. It's not really doing me much favors. It has this toxic kind of tendency. I'm gonna distance myself from it. And for some reason, they took this super fucking personally. And the past few months, because Tipster said this a while ago. Well, he said this a while ago where he's like, I'm going to start dissing myself from the commentary community. And for the past few months, people have been ramping up the pressures. And now there used to be this kind of joke where like, oh, Tipster likes to hang around like e-thoughts and e-whores or whatever. That's whatever, right? It used to be this kind of joke. But now we've gotten to the point of that it's not a joke anymore. Now we're going to start insinuating Tipster is being unfaithful to his wife. I'm not even fucking joking. And that sort of rumor is being spread around as if it's like a fact. And throughout the conversation that Tipster was having with Augie, it genuinely felt like Augie wasn't really understanding how spreading something like that around can actually affect someone's mental health. Like, I can actually affect someone's marriage. Can actually, he seems to think, well, I'm just some random guy on the internet, just saying some random stuff. No, dude, you have how many followers? Augie, I think, is almost at 100,000 subscribers, right? He has a pretty decent sized audience, right? He seems to not be aware that what he says goes on to it makes an impression on his audience, and then his audience then goes and they circulate that that same fucking insinuation tenfold. They take what you say and they go a step further. And he seems to not understand that, which is why I'm going to get to the point where I think personally that Augie, Nick DiOrio, and Turkey Tom are a bunch of socially inept fucking teenagers who really don't understand how social interactions work, because they seem to think that their actions don't have any consequences. Like what I say about a person has no impact on how that might affect them in person. That if I say and I make an insinuation about someone, that my audience isn't going to pick that up and run with that and take it a step further and fucking, you know, like I just don't understand how you can't think that opening Twitter and then seeing a bunch of people mentioning you saying Tipster's an infidel, Tipster's cheating on his wife or whatever, you know, Tipster this, Tipster that, and then having to constantly be berated like that, you know, that somehow doesn't at all affect your mental health. I've seen Nicholas DiOrio not handle criticism very fucking well. I've seen it before. Okay, I remember that one time where he got laughed off of the fucking Kumite, which is like kind of a feat impressive in it of itself. How do you get laughed off the fucking Kumite? How do you get laughed off of a podcast ran by a guy who ducked out of a fight after talking so much shit? How do you get run off there, dude? I've seen it. Nick can't handle his fair share from time to time. He quote unquote spurgs out sometimes, and he screams at people and he yells at people, you know. Engaging in that behavior, sure, some people might not see it as a big deal, but maybe Tipster doesn't want to engage with that and he just wants to leave it. He just wants to leave it. And they seem to not understand that. It also doubles as more social ineptitude of them to not understand that you could conversate with women and have it not be in a sexual context. Like, they literally think it's impossible to have a normal conversation with a female, be friends with them, and support them. Like they literally think that you just cannot do that. Like, that is just something that you can't do. Because I've been following them for a while now. I've been following their accounts and I've been following their live stream that I've been listening in as a casual viewer, and they hound women constantly. Like they edge on the fucking whole incel shit constantly, and they think they will try to push it off as a fucking joke. No, they know they know their audience. They know exactly who they're playing to. They don't treat it's a very misogynist kind of area, right? And they genuinely think it's impossible to have a normal conversation with a woman, right? I genuinely think they think that it's impossible. I think Tipster is well in his right to want to disassociate from the commentary community, especially when they haven't really been as good faith in interpreting his opinions as of lately. 2 months ago, Tipster got involved into this whole drama where one of his female friends liked a picture that was a little sussy. It was a Shotokan or something like that. It wasn't super sexual. It was kind of like, whoa. People were essentially attacking this person like, oh, you like lolicon, you're a pedophile, blah, blah, blah. And Tipster, that person being his friend, he says, well, hang on, guys. Do we even know if this is lolly? I don't even think you guys know what lolly is. That's pretty much all he said, is that maybe we should slow down and actually like have this conversation. Like, what was this? Is this actually lolly? Is it actually wrong? Like, why are we jumping to conclusions about this person? That's essentially what Tipster, that was his whole position. It's like, we need to don't jump to conclusions about this person. Let's actually like talk this out. Let's actually look into it. Is this actually lolicon? And it turns out it's Shotokan. And the person who drew it said as much, but it was in Japanese, so there was no way there was no way for that person to know, right? Tipster's friend. There was no way for them to really know. And Tipster, and people were calling Tipster a simp. They were calling him a simp, and they were, and some people even insinuated that Tipster is a pedophile because he was defending lolicon. He wasn't defending lolicon. Quite the contrary. He said, I am not defending lolicon, and I will never defend lolicon. That shit is sick as shit. That's sick as fuck. I will never defend that. He said as much, but people were deliberately having a bad faith interpretation of Tipster's shit because he's the butt of the joke. He's a sacrificial lamb. Tipster is the guy that you dunk on when you want to make yourself look cool because you're a pathetic fucking loser on the internet. And getting validity from random strangers on the internet is the most important thing to you. It's sad. It's pathetic. So quickly, I want to cover the whole Tipster conversation he had with Augie, right? Discussing the whole thing. Why is Tipster leaving? Why is Tipster leaving the commentary community? That's something that's been asked a few times, while simultaneously insinuating that he's cheating on his wife. Viewing this whole conversation, I really feel like Tipster missed the opportunity to be more direct in his accusations, or not his accusations, but his feelings on the commentary community. Because I could tell how Tipster was feeling, but he wasn't really putting it in the right words. The commentary community is a toxic shithole. It is. Someone like Augie isn't going to tell you that. He's like, toxic? What do you mean by toxic? Augie, what do you fucking mean? What do you... Do you watch your own streams, dude? The commentary community is very, very, very spite driven. I swear to God, anybody that's in that in the commentary space who's going to be watching this, say, no, it's not. Please prove me fucking wrong. How is it not spite driven? Go watch some of Augie's streams. Go watch one of Turkey Tom's streams. Go watch one of Nikki Diorder's streams. It's not spite driven, really? The whole thesis of the streams is like, here's the person that we're going to be shitting on for the next month, guys. That's the whole fucking stream. Like, you mean to tell me that it's not spite driven? It is spite driven. It's very hateful. It's a very hateful group of people. Now it's toxic. Whether or not you want to engage with that, that's up to you. If Tipster wants to disengage from that and he doesn't want to engage in that, that's fine. That's fine. You guys don't have to hound him and essentially harass him with a bunch of insinuations about his marriage and try to put stress and strain on his marriage. Which, by the way, another point of that conversation is Augie genuinely just didn't understand. He genuinely doesn't understand that what he says has an impression on his audience, and then they take that message and they go with it tenfold. He doesn't understand that. Yeah, he legitimately thinks that, oh, I could just make insinuations about people's marriages. Literally, it just doesn't affect them whatsoever. No, Augie, yeah, it does. It does. When the first thing you do when you open up social media is a bunch of people calling you a cheating scumbag, it kind of affects you. It kind of affects you. I can't recall the last time someone like Augie had to have genuinely endure something like that, right? He might say, well, sometimes I have to endure some stupid people false flagging me and shit like that. You know, the worst kinds of thing Augie really has to deal with is people legitimately false flagging him, and people calling him like slurs or like stupid things, right? Not like having like, you're a pedophile, or you're kind of a weirdo, or you sound like you're defending Lolicon, or, you know what, Augie, I'm actually questioning your relationship with your girlfriend, which I don't think he has a girlfriend, but we don't know that. You know, oh, I'm kind of questioning your relationship with your girlfriend. I mean, you seem to be very, very, you know, you act really curiously around other women, and I'm just kind of thinking, like, maybe you're abusive to your girlfriend because you don't like. He doesn't have to endure that. He doesn't have to endure something like that. You know, someone like Tipster opens his shit up. First thing he sees is like all these insinuations because he's hanging around that community of people. They're spite driven. He's a sacrificial lamb. They're gonna want to dunk on him to make themselves feel cool. So he wants to pull out because you don't want to fucking engage with that. I don't know how this doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna try and loosely explain this, but another point of the conversation was essentially Augie trying to tell Tipster for 25 minutes why he shouldn't be friends with Keffals, while simultaneously saying, I'm not telling you why you shouldn't be friends with Keffals. Cute. It's kind of cute that he thinks that he could get by with that so slyly, but, you know, I caught on to it, and anybody who knows basic comprehension skills can be like, you're literally doing the thing that you're saying that you're not doing. It's gaslighting. He has this big gripe with Keffals because Keffal used to be this very reactionary, woke, scoldy kind of fucking person, pro deplatforming and all this kind of shit, which, I mean, the people she was deplatforming was what? Kiwi farms? You know, the people who are dedicated to stalking and harassing random people on the internet because it's funny. Really? Okay. I mean, if that's such a big deal, okay, sure. I guess it's an opinion. But, you know, sure, you could give her this reputation of being like, yeah, she's pro deplatforming and all this kind of shit. Okay, whatever. But Tipster has had a personal conversation with her, and he, in his opinion, thinks she's changed. So he's giving her the benefit of the doubt. He's showing support for her. And Augie, it seems to be like incapable of understanding that. Like, I have had a personal conversation with Keffals. I've came to this conclusion that I don't think she's like that anymore. Sure, that when she acted like that, yeah, that was cringe. Yeah, that was cringe. Okay, you know what? Yeah, sure, it was cringe. But she's changed now. She's different. And it's this constant insinuation. It's just insinuations. Based on what? Based on what? Once a flagger, always a flagger? Really? Really, Augie? Well, I guess since you're a virgin, once a virgin, always a virgin, right? It's this perma-virgin attitude that proliferates your fucking community. Once a virgin, always a virgin, I guess, right? I mean, if we're gonna use that logic, it makes no fucking sense, you know? And he said, like, oh, I've had conversations with Keffels before, all this kind of shit. It's like, no, you've had a conversation with her on stream. How about try having a conversation with her off stream? But they don't care to understand someone like Keffels. They don't care to understand someone like Keffels because you know why? Augie shares somewhat of a connection with Kiwi Farms and his audience, right? I feel like he enjoys that sort of side on the internet. So he's not going to like someone like Keffels because she took down Kiwi Farms. And plus, Kiwi Farms is a bunch of fucking transphobic pieces of shit. And he doesn't want to seem like he's supporting a trans person. So why the fuck would he ever want to understand someone like Keffels? She's trans. That's what it comes down to. That's what it comes down to. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be fucking honest. That's your audience. You've cultivated that audience, Augie. I see it. I see how they act. I see how they chat. Dude, that's your audience. All in all, the commentary community has a big fucking problem. I think it does. Well, in my opinion, it's a problem. If they want to engage in that kind of behavior, sure, go nuts, go nuts. You sound and look like a pathetic fucking loser, but hey, you know what? Go knock yourself out. Their issue is that they're extremely fucking spite driven, extremely fucking hateful, and in turn, you isolate yourself to the most like apprehensive kind of fucking people. You know, you really hone in your audience to engage in that same kind of behavior, just being spite driven, being hateful. And I know those sound like cringe buzzwords, but that's what it is. That's what it is. When you dedicate streams to dunking on people out of spite, that's hateful. What the fuck else is spite? God, it feels like I've watched these people long enough to know exactly how they're going to respond to this. Because they might say something like, well, it's not spiteful. I'm just reporting on the news. Forehead? No, you're fucking not. Okay, it's not just that. You were genuinely, personally, and emotionally invested in these fucking things. I know you say, well, I don't care. Well, I don't care. No, you fucking do care. Because you guys dedicate several fucking streams to dunking on the same person for a fucking month. Okay, give me a fucking break. You care. You care. That's not personal investment. That's emotional investment. You guys make sure to drag that shit out to the very fucking end, right? Even past the point where it's not really making you as much money anymore. Doesn't matter. You'll still fucking make another stream on them. It's personal. It's, you know, it could be personal sometimes. At least not all the time. It could be personal sometimes. Surely with Flamenco, for an example, that shit was personal. Granted, deserved, but it was personal and it was spite driven. But it has this issue of proliferating toxic behaviors and stuff like that. And then they sit there and they scratch their heads and they get offended by being called toxic. It's like, what do you mean I'm toxic? What do you mean I'm... They like this faint kind of like laugh like, ha ha ha, what do you mean I'm toxic? Do you watch your own content? I will admit it, personally, I am toxic. You know what? Yeah, I am toxic. I'm gonna own it. Yeah, I can be toxic. You can look at my fucking previous videos, especially on Blair. Dude, literally my Blair video was like me insinuating a thing that she should do. I am toxic. I will admit it, okay? People like Augie and Nick and Tom are a bunch of fucking pussies. They'll never admit they're toxic because I don't know why. I don't know why. Just fucking admit that you're toxic. I don't know how fucking hard that is. Fuck. And then fucking move on. Why do you need to feel like you need... No, Tipster. We need you to be the sacrificial lamb. We need to stretch out another couple months in you, insinuating that you're cheating on your fucking wife because it's funny, because it's hilarious. It's hilarious to speculate on other people's marriages and try to fucking ruin it by spreading rumors and shit like that. It's hilarious. It's hilarious up until it happens to them, obviously. All in all, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up. Yeah, coming from a femboy. Yeah, grow the fuck up, guys. Holy fucking shit. This is the most saddest thing I've ever seen in my life, dude. I'm going to be that voice, you know what? And you might be thinking, then why are you involved in commentary? Because you know what? I can handle it. Because I can handle it. Tipster might not be able to handle it. Dude, I live in spite, okay? But you know what? I live in spite for a good fucking reason. I live in spite of spiteful people. There you fucking go. See, that makes sense. But yeah, it's cringe, it's stupid, and quite frankly, it's L loser moment, okay? Stop fucking being cringe. Grow the fuck up.